Her story deals with a subculture of heavy metal music that some feel is sending a dangerous message to your kids.
The forces of evil on the dark side of devil rock.
And I want to talk tonight about the devil and demons and witches and wizards.
And we just mix it up with hardcore and aggression and come out with something we think is an original sound.
Loud, fast, heavy, you know.
Well, what do you got?
What do you got?
You're listening to Riff Worship, the podcast that attempts to answer the age-old question, what makes a riff? Why do we care about riffs? Sometimes talking about albums containing riffs, talking to people who make great fucking riffs. I'm one of your hosts, Austin Paulson. With me, as always, my best friends in music and life, Justin Swindle, Dylan Adams. Justin Swindle and Dylan Adams, what's going on?
Hey there, Austin.
Oh.
Just very
Don't climb up on me
one.
now, dude. Come on. Yep, that's me.
Not much is going on. How have you been?
Great, wonderful. Dylan, bald, still
Good.
bald, beautiful,
Still bald. Don't have to worry about my hair getting messed up because of the rain, but I'm doing great.
glistening.
The sun is a problem, but everything else is good.
Well, I'm glad we're here. We have a wonderful special guest with us today. This has been a long time coming. We've been really enjoying this record. It seems like we were trying to connect at certain points, so I'm glad we could make this work. He is a wonderfully talented guitarist. You might know him from such projects as Chord and RLYR, as well as some of his solo work. He's also a member of the multifaceted Chicago instrumental just unit Pelican, who are celebrating their 25th anniversary this year with the release of their 7th full-length record, Flickering Resonance. I'm going to call it the album of the summer. Move over, Lord. This is the summer record. It is out now on Run for Cover Records. I am here, of course, with Trevor de Brauw. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Great.
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. I say summer record because I have been spending a lot of time downtown for work, and I'll just get a chance to kind of walk around and, walk through the park. And I feel like this album has kind of very organically become like the backdrop of the Chicagoland summer, as, people love to talk about. And I can't get enough of it. Just feels very uplifting and positive. And I've been in love with it. So congratulations, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We recorded it last summer, and there was definitely a summer vibe that was hanging the entire process. So, it makes sense that it connects with this time.
Really, the first time a lot of people, or some of the people that were lucky enough to catch this at G-Man's Tavern in Wrigleyville, it was I didn't really know the show was happening until like last minute. I got to join with a friend of mine who actually took some photography for you, John Wooten Photo. And we just like had the best night. I think it was like a, culmination of maybe Pelican fans of like, old and new, and your family's there. It seemed like, your kids are like off on the side of the stage playing with their tablets or watching the show, and, people sharing memories and, just enjoying these new songs. And, it's really interesting to see how that show, like almost a year ago at this point, takes shape on this record. And I was curious, like, how much was altered. I know you guys kind of said that you like to mess around live, or at least play, like get them out there before you actually go into the studio. How much of was changed before entering in the studio with Sanford Parker?
Well, for anyone who's listening that doesn't know the context of what you're talking about, the day or 2 days before we went into the studio, we went ahead and did a show at G-Man, which is a 100 capacity club in Chicago, where we just played the new record in full. And the reason we did that primarily is that the way most of our records have come together is we write them over a multi-year process, and we integrate songs into the set as we write them. And the process was just really different this time because, a little bit because COVID, a little bit because Laurent rejoined the band. right before we wrote, and the writing kind of happened sort of fast too. So we had played shows the year prior in 2023, but by that point we only had one song that was really ready to play live. And then we went back to the woodshed and finished writing the record, and then we were like, we're ready to record it, but we haven't played any of this stuff live. And I think for us, the process of playing songs live, it kind of it gives you a much better insight on what the song is and what it's trying to do when you see how an audience reacts to it, or you feel the energy that it's putting out when you're doing it in front of people. So for us, it was like, you know, no, at no point in this band have we ever gone out and debuted 9 songs in one set, but it felt like that was the right thing to do for our process. It did feel super weird, and we did put together a pre-order code for the show that we could share with friends and family first, because we wanted as comfortable as of a network as we could get. But I mean, ultimately, like the turnout in that room, it was all people that knew what they were getting into, and it felt really comfortable. It felt like we were a new band playing our first show, you know?
Yeah.
But in front of a really supportive crowd, and it was really fun. It was really gratifying.
I like you said 9, because there's not 9 songs on this record. So
yeah, one of the songs did not make it on the record. We're holding on to it for the right moment.
Did you know what to look for in the audience to like let y'all know what parts to keep or what you needed to change? Because like it's not like a hardcore crowd where you're like going to see people stage diving. I feel like it's like it's more subtle than that. So do you like know what you're looking for?
It's not like I feel like maybe the way I described it, it sounds like it's audience testing like they do with movies or something like that. It's not like that. It's not like we're deciding based on the crowd reaction, like how the song is crafted or whatever. It's more just like it gives you a better understanding of the vibe of parts, and that gives you an understanding of how to approach them in the studio, either from a sonic perspective or a mixing perspective. I don't know. I think it's hard to really describe, but it's more really about intent.
I like that.
It's like you can create a song on your computer, but you won't know what it really means until people interact with it, because it's really the interaction of the audience with the song that creates its meaning.
Speaking on the writing of the record too, I'd read, in previous interviews and, talking about the past couple of releases where maybe, with the departure of Laurent, your role or maybe how you would approach a song, it changed. Like you had to adjust for, a new person or, find exactly how to fit this iteration of Pelican with the new songs. And with having him back, did that approach shape how you wrote the music for this record? Did it feel like the old dynamic prior to his departure came back? Was it a mixture of both? I'd love to know how the songs kind of formed.
It's really a mixture of both. And I'll say, like, I think we don't have like a specific writing process. It's really different every album. Though maybe next album will be similar to this one, because like this felt like it really flowed well. So like Nighttime Stories, the record that came out in 2019 with the guitar player at that time was Dallas Thomas. A lot of that stuff was written, like the three of us live in Chicago, Brian, myself, and Dallas on that record, and Laurent on this record, and our drummer Larry lives in LA. So a lot of that record was like we would only have germs of ideas or seeds that we would work on when Larry was in town, and the songs would really take shape when Larry was in town. Whereas this process was a lot more like Laurent, Brian, and I would meet on a weekly basis, and we would have almost too many ideas to to hold on to. It was really just like ideas blowing out and trying to harness them so that we could remember what we were doing from week to week. And Larry coming back to what were much more fleshed out songs, and then we would just like sort of pare them down and edit them and streamline them once he was around. But we were able to provide him with demos that he could really work out drum parts before he would get to town. Whereas Nighttime Stories, it was really like we would be in a room, often would be like we'd be practicing for a tour or a show, and somebody would just start noodling around, and then suddenly like we'd be jamming and it would turn into something. And this was like that, but without the drums in the room.
I mean, at one point, Brian and Larry were gone as well, right? So I guess it's at least nice.
That's true, yeah.
To have at least 3 of those kind of core guys around.
Yeah, Brian was back and forth to LA, and actually, the first 2 songs that ended up being songs from this era of material, which was Adrift and the song that didn't make it to the album, Ascending. Both of those songs were songs that started with Larry and Brian in LA. They sent them to Dallas and myself in like, I want to say January of 2020. And it was like, here's some bass and drum stuff if you guys want to start laying some guitar on it. And then there was a global pandemic, and progress stalled for a couple of years.
You answered my question, I guess, on one thing. It seemed like, I think it's pretty safe to say this is a guitar-driven band, but maybe there are some songs previous from your catalog that started with the rhythm section. I think like The Cliff maybe started out as a bass and drum song. So as far as like the guitar's concerned, are you bringing in riffs? Is Laurent bringing in riffs? Are you bringing a melody? What's kind of going in your head when you come to the writing session?
Me personally, for probably about the last 10 years, my creativity is mostly activated when I'm in a room with other musicians. And I don't do a whole lot of sitting at home writing riffs. Like very occasionally I'll come up with 1 or 2 things, but it's like I need to be in a room with people hammering it out before I can figure out where those riffs want to go or what they want to do. We had a lot of success with that on this record with a few instances. The first song that we wrote properly for the album was Specific Resonance. And that one was literally like the 3 of us were meeting with the intention to write. And, it was like nerve wracking because it was like, I don't know what we're going to work on. I knew Laurent had riffs. I knew Brian had some bass parts. But it was like, we hadn't written anything in so long that it was like, how is this going to work? And then it was exactly like the process that I described earlier. I was noodling around with like just like a melodic phrase, trying to dial my tone in. And then one of the other guys started playing on top of it. And then before you knew it, we had like a handful of riffs and we were starting to craft them into a song. But that's not how most of the songs came about on this record. I would say the bulk of them would start with a handful of riffs or a low key like structural element from Laurent. And then Brian and I would kind of help steer the ship where we felt like it needed to go. There are a couple of instances too where Brian started the song. Like Wandering Mind was all just Brian, and then Laurent and I just layered stuff on top of it, and we kept jamming it until it turned into a song. So there's a lot of different ways that it goes.
When Laurent came back, did he come back with like a new style of playing, or like was it like obvious that he had changed his guitar playing in the time that he was gone?
Yes and no. I think like his perspective on a lot of things has changed, and like maybe that comes out in his playing. Like I'm very familiar with his playing style. He and I have had a partnership that stretches back even before Pelican. So in a lot of ways it was like getting on a bicycle, but it was also like I know that his creativity was activated by sorry, I'm getting tripped up. When the band continued without him, we had to sort of develop a new pocket, sort of like a new rhythm to the way we do things. And I feel like because we had to learn how to rediscover a chemistry with a new guitar player in a band who had a very different different playing style, that it brought the other 3 of us closer together. And we were much more locked in and dialed in and had a streamlined approach. And when Laurent rejoined the band, which was ostensibly just to do some tours, and we were just playing catalog material, I think like he discovered this new swagger that had developed in our playing style, and that activated a new layer of his creativity. I think like the stuff that he brought to the table to me very much feels like a continuation of What We All Come to Need, which was the last record that we wrote with him. But at the same time, like I feel like it's got a very different groove to it, and like the melodic element is a lot more developed as well.
With speaking on specific resonance and that being like the first time everybody got back in the room together and started writing, there's definitely a feeling based off of that track that feels like there's an emotional weight to it of, you know, seeing an old friend after a while, getting back, you know, rekindling a relationship of sorts. I kind of get this vibe all over the record. You know, is there an emotional attachment to that track and this record as a whole with just the rejoining of Laurent?
I think there's an ebullience that kind of runs through the entire record where we were just really rediscovering the joy of this creative partnership. And maybe we hadn't realized how much we missed that particular combination of musicianship. Because yeah, definitely it was like, even the first show, I can remember so vividly the emotions of that first show back post pandemic, where it's not only our first time playing with Laurent in, I don't know, it was almost 10 years at that point, but also not having played a show in 2 years, and like the feeling of catharsis and joy, and you know, mixed with not sorrow, but like a melancholy over, you know, the years we lost and like what we could have had. So yeah, I think that sort of the feeling of that show in a lot of ways kind of informs the thread that runs through the album for sure. But I think at the core of it, it's really a joyful album. I mean, there's so much to be winsome and, you know, sad about in today's climate, that I think for us to have this space for creativity that's ultimately just like a very positive outlet, it was just such a joyful experience creating this music that I think that really carries through every song on the record.
10, 12 years is a long time to have not worked on a full-length record together. You know, I'd be curious, you know, a lot can change recording wise. Were there any like main differences from the last time you'd recorded a record together? What, you know, going in, like what were some, it could be gear, it could be the approach, you know, working in the studio after all that time together. What was that experience like?
I think for us, it was not dissimilar from how we worked on Nighttime Stories. It was a little bit different for Laurent because what we did with this album and with the last one is we tracked with Sanford Parker and then we had a third party mix it. I really like the idea of getting a new engineer in the mix during the mixing phase because I feel like it brings a new sense of objectivity to the material, whereas like the engineer you're tracking with, I'm sure that they have a very keen and developed sense of how the record should sound. And I know that Sanford would have knocked it out of the park on a mix. But I think that there's something when you're living inside a record for that long, I think like it's really handy to get a third, you know, another perspective in the mix. Laurent hadn't done that before. He had been present in the room mixing every single record he's ever mixed. And like the idea of sending tracks to somebody several states away and then like approving mixes via email, that was new for him. But it worked. I mean, Scott fucking totally killed it. Scott Evans mixed it, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, talk about long-standing partnerships with Sanford dating back to your very first release. You know, what obviously like to have that perspective. Is he, when you're recording, is he pretty much hands off? Like, at what point does he come in and maybe sort of influence how maybe like, you know, we actually did have him on not that long ago. He seems pretty like, I'm going to let you do it, but maybe I don't take him as a guy. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you how to write your songs, but you know, maybe I know where to put the mics or like how this is supposed to sound.
Yeah. He doesn't like try to influence the actual parts of the songs or anything like that, but he definitely has a sense of like sound, which I really value. I mean, his records all sound really good. So if he's saying like, hey, you've got too much mid-range here, like that seems like that's advice that you want to have. You want to have somebody in the room with you that has that sense of sound, who's made that many records, that knows how things are going to fit together. So we value him for that. You know, I think he also like will step in when he hears something rubbing the wrong way. He's like, maybe play it this way, play it that way, with just like picking style and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, he is a little bit from the Albini school of like, just get good sounds, make sure the band are comfortable so they're giving good performances. And then that's the key to any good record, is if the band is comfortable and they know how to play the songs, it's gonna turn out well. And that's one of the reasons why like most of our engineer choices have been guided less by like what's hip and what's happening and who's like making pop in records, and more like, what friend do we know that we're comfortable with, that we're going to just hang out with and have a good time with, that makes good sounding records, because like I think for anyone, when you look back on a moment, a record is really just a snapshot in time. And if I put on an old record, and I don't really ever listen to my own shit, so I guess it's it's all superfluous. But like, if I were to listen to a record of mine, I want to think back on what a fun and rewarding time in my life that it was, and not be like, oh, remember when the engineer yelled at me about this thing or that thing? It's like, life's too short for that shit. Like,
Right.
we're doing this for the joy.
I mean, it sounds great. I mean, he's 2 for 2 this year for sure. That Wake record is fucking killer.
Yeah.
But it it also seems like you guys have really just kind of grown together. If Discogs has not steered me wrong, I feel like he hadn't really done much prior to your first release, right? Like, I can't.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
He was like I feel like he was fresh out of recording school and moved to Chicago, and then was trying to like find the heavy music scene and found us. And then like he was working at a very weird studio. It was like somebody's project studio in the back of the law office. And I can't remember if they were like doing music law or something. I don't remember why there was a recording studio there. But yeah, we just knocked out that demo in one day and it sounded great. And like, it was like a no-brainer that when the album came up that we wanted to do it with him too. So that's how we went for Australasia.
Dang. And he was almost a member, right?
He jammed with us for 2 rehearsals, and then we were like, maybe keyboards don't fit. I don't know.
In one of the interviews we read in research, you all talked about how like thematically the record is about like, there are themes in the record about like maybe recognizing that this band is like not a blip in time, but it's not going to go on forever. And like one of the songs thematically is like about, like you said earlier, like just enjoying playing music with these people that you're playing with. Is there a way that you all try to like get these themes across in just the music, since you all like are an instrumental band and you don't, it's easier with lyrics just like objectively to get the point you're trying to get across. Is there a way that you all try to do that without having someone screaming?
I mean, to be clear, the themes that are on the record, and this goes for all of our records, we kind of discover the themes as the album is usually near completion. We just like write the music that's sort of in our soul. And then once we're like 3/4 of the way through it, you start to think about like, well, what is it that is tying these songs together? What is it that this stuff all means? Like, where is this coming from? And it harkens back to what I was just saying, that like every album is sort of a snapshot of your life, of your collective lives when you're in a band. And it's like, well, what is this material saying to us? And that's really what we happened on, is like, oh, like this, there's a reason that this music all sounds so uplifting and anthemic. It's like, because we're really rekindling a part of ourselves that has been dormant for a while. And so we've leaned into that with the theme, like the thematic vibe of the album, the artwork, the song titles. And that's kind of where it went from there.
I was definitely wanting to ask about the artwork for sure, because it just kind of takes you in, and it's just, yeah, I mean, all of your artwork I feel like is, I just want to like stare at it and like, sit in front of my turntable When you go to get the artwork done, what sorts of notes are you giving? I mean, all the visual aspects as well, with some of the stuff that you can see on like YouTube is just so perfect. What's that process like?
Christian was somebody that a colleague of Laurent's had put to him. He just like sort of shot him Christian's Instagram account, and Laurent really latched onto it. He's done like a lot of artwork for black metal bands. I know like recently he worked with Death Heaven and stuff like that. And he did that Scarcity record that was on Flenser. And
Oh
I think
man.
like, yeah, fucking great record. Um, we just saw like a through line. A lot of our record art is landscapes and like natural settings. And Christian's method is he lives in Utah, Provo, Utah, and he'll go hiking in the mountains and like do photography. And then he'll take those photographs back to his studio and do hand rendered drawings of them. So we saw a load of his stuff and we were like, this really feels like of a piece of where our aesthetic has been in the past, but it's also something different because it's hand drawn and hand rendered. So we tapped him to do artwork for a 2-song EP that we self-released. I guess that would have been last year at this point, Adrift Tending the Embers. And I mean, it turned out great. It exceeded our expectations. And when we were talking about doing the album, it seemed like like we really wanted to work with Christian again, but most of his artwork is just black and white. And like we had like basically just given his black and white drawing a blue background for the last album. We were like, well, maybe if we just give him direction that we want something that pops and has a lot of color. And Laurent came across a photograph he had taken of the Northern Lights. And we kind of were like, can you do something that's like the Adrift artwork, but then also taps into this color wash that you have in this photo of the Northern Lights? And then we also talked to him about the themes of the album, about the flickering flame and the flame meditation that informs the song Flickering Stillness. And he just latched onto all of it. And I mean, like his artwork is amazing in its own right. You should read the thorough ass emails he sends about his process and his thoughts and his philosophy behind everything. I swear to you, every single etching of the pen, he has put some philosophical backing to. Yeah, those are some philosophical screeds.
I mean, you can only hope, like, I mean, that someone would connect with it and just like
on that level. Yeah, it's humbling. It's humbling that he values us so much that he would put that much thought into it.
Did Aaron Turner do all the stuff from your Hydra Head releases, or did he just do like the packaging? Did he like put together the packaging?
He did almost all of it. There was also some stuff that was handled. They had in-house. I think it was James was doing some of the stuff. There were a couple of things that he didn't do. Like he would do art for it, but then the layout would be handled by somebody else. But I would say like he had a hand in pretty much everything on Hydra Head. Yeah.
Did y'all just use other people to do your album artwork because Hydra Head like stopped existing, I guess?
Well, we left Hydra Head in 2008 and then went to Southern Lord. And when we went to Southern Lord, we kind of, I mean, we had been friends with Stephen O'Malley since the beginning of Pelican. So, yeah, just like knowing that he had such a deep relationship with Greg and with the label, we had him do, well, he didn't do What We All Come to Need. He did the Ephemeral EP, and then we had Selden Hunt do What We All Come to Need, actually. So, yeah, I think we just sort of like, after we left Hydra, it wasn't really like, it's hard to remember exactly what the thought process and the motivations were.
It's almost been 20 years.
I think it's like we had, yeah, right. We were turning a page and starting a new chapter, and I think we were just like interested in like, now that we're somewhere else, like what other things can we be doing? What other like manifestations of our aesthetic can we unlock? And I'm really happy with the art on all of our records, honestly. And Aaron did the last one too. He did Nighttime Stories in 2019 when we were like ready to have him rejoin the fold.
You're wearing an Earthquaker shirt.
That's true, yeah.
Would love to know. You seem like a pretty kind of, I don't want to say like straightforward guy, but I feel like you find your tools. You're pretty, maybe stick with them. I know you're like a big Ernie Ball volume guy. What sorts of gear were you using for this record? I would love to know kind of the tools at your disposal.
I'm not a gearhead, and I ran through a lot of pedals throughout the course of the album. So the short answer is I don't really remember exactly everything I used on the album. The mainstays of my pedal board, though, are actually I've moved on from Ernie Ball to Dunlop. I use a Dunlop volume pedal.
Dang, no loyalty
And then
to this guy. No, I'm kidding.
I broke so many Ernie Ball volume pedals.
Well, it's that. Is it just that fucking?
It's that string is not. And Laurent makes fun of me. He's like, "Why do you slap your volume pedal so hard every time you use it?" And it's like, I don't know. It's like my foot is angry at volume. I don't know. So I broke too many of those things. So the Dunlop one is a little bit more rugged. It stands up to the punishment. From there, I go into a Palisades, Earthquaker Palisades Overdrive. I like that because it's got two different distortion channels and a boost. So it's got so much versatility over different gain stages. Then I have an Earthquaker Avalanche Run, which I use for just a hair of reverb and reverse delay. I have been using a Line 6 DL4 for looping in a couple places here and there. And then I have a TC Electronic Nova delay and a Strymon, whatever the big Papa reverb is. Big Sky.
Big Sky, yeah.
Yeah. Dylan, you got something recently, right?
I actually bought one of the rainbow machines.
Sick.
That thing is just like opening up Pandora's box. There's so much you can do with that.
I have tried fucking with one of those in the studio and I can't make heads or tails of it.
There is somebody out there can figure out the algorithm to it. I just sit around and make weird sounds. It's like a fuzzed out bass just plugged into it and like, hey, it makes me happy. I can do something at some point with this.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the SG has been kind of your mainstay. Are you using anything else in the studio as well, or is that pretty much the?
Nope.
No.
Like I said, I'm not a gearhead. I'm so comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm so comfortable playing that guitar. That's like an extension of my body, and like, yeah, I don't really mess with anything else. I should, because like someday it's not going to want to be played anymore.
Right.
And then I'm going to have to figure something else out.
I feel like when I was standing like right next to you at that at the G-Man show, and like I was like, man, that thing has been through it, but it sounds great. Yeah, I feel like, you know, when we kind of talk about, I think all of us on here play guitar, but you know, when you pick up like a certain guitar, it kind of maybe elicits some inspiration. Are you ever like picking up the acoustics at all when you're writing as well? Does that help kind of?
Honestly, Laurent and I wrote most of our early stuff on acoustic guitars, like Australasia and especially the Fire North Throats Will Back in the Thaw. He and I used to live together, and we would just play acoustic guitars every night, and that's how, especially Fire North Throats, we wrote pretty much that entire album on acoustics. I don't really play acoustic guitar that much anymore. I also have a Fender Jaguar that I keep by my desk that I sometimes pick up and play throughout the day. But it's pretty much just that.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on the topic of guitars, and this is a show called Riff Worship, I think, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. One question we like to ask a lot of people on this show is what makes a riff? And, you know, as someone who has been writing riffs their entire life, basically, you know, what draws you into a riff? What does it need? As a musician and a listener, like, what is your definition of a riff?
Well, a riff is a musical phrase that repeats itself.
All right, guys.
So
That's
There
it.
it is.
Out of the way.
We're done. Figured it out.
I think for me, like thinking as a writer and like as a listener of modern music, like I can't speak on like what a riff would have been or what would be good to look for in a riff 50 years ago or whatever. But for me, it's like I think there needs to be a sense of familiarity where it doesn't sound exactly like something that's already happened, but it does things that you recognize from other pieces of music, whether those be notes that resolve in a certain way, or it takes you on a journey that you understand at least part of the way where you're going. But I also think the best riffs have something in it that you weren't expecting. So whether that just be like one funky note somewhere in there, or it just is like a note or two longer than you would have thought. I think of there's this song "Someday I'll Smile Again" by the Smoking Popes. I don't know if you know them, the local guys,
right? Yeah.
Yep. And the chorus to that song, it's like this very like. And they're like ostensibly like a pop punk band, but the riff in the chorus, it feels like it's doing what you think it's going to do, and then it just keeps going. It like keeps ascending, and then it throws in like a blue note, and then it goes back down the scale, and it's just like the longest riff you've ever heard. But every single chord of it, you're like on the edge of your chair, like, what the hell is going to happen next? I remember the first time I heard that song, like clear as a bell, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that was the riff. So yeah, I feel like that's the formula. It's like, does it do the things that like you've heard before that you really enjoy? Does it also take you on a journey that you weren't anticipating?
Do you remember some of the first riffs that surprised you, or like some of the first riffs that you were just like, wow, I have to learn how to play that. Like I have to pick up a guitar and try to replicate that.
I think the band that really activated me on that level was Jawbreaker, and especially the album Dear You. Like the very first song on that album, Save Your Generation, does exactly the same thing that I was just talking about, where it's like he changes key in the riff over and over again, which is like, how do you do that and make it work? And like the first time I heard it, I was like, this sounds wrong. And then once you get like familiar with it and understand it, it becomes addictive because it does exactly that. It does the thing that you don't anticipate.
Mm-hmm. How long for your kind of like, finding riffs like this and you're figuring out your instrument, do those transfer over into Yellow Road Priest? Like, I would love to know how that starts.
Yellow Road Priest was, those were almost entirely Laurent's riffs, and that was the start. That was the foundation of our guitar partnership. That's some old shit.
They are. It is. It's weird as shit. I love it. It's
yeah, and I think part of what I was doing in that band was, and that's where we discovered like counterpoint, right? Like he would write something, and I'd be like, well, I'm not going to play that, but maybe I could play this instead. So we were like writing these broad tapestries of sound because I just refused to play whatever it was that he was playing. That he would go in one direction and then I would go in the other direction. And part of it was about like, how can we be like as caustic as possible while also retaining some like emotionality to it. So there would be like melodic components for sure, but like a lot of it was just like, what's gonna like really do the fingernails on the chalkboard thing here.
Yeah. I can't imagine you guys had known each other for that long prior to that, right? Was that pretty recent into your kind of relationship?
Would have been like within a year or two of meeting. Yeah, we met doing Food Not Bombs downtown, which I don't know how many people know about Food Not Bombs now, but that was an old program that people used to do nationwide, where you'd go to grocery stores and find food that was going to be otherwise thrown away and then cook meals and give them out to the homeless.
Wow. And so you guys just like through this program was he wearing like a shirt or something? Like, how did you guys strike up?
I mean, it was all punk kids that did
Yeah.
bootleg
okay. Yeah.
bombs,
Sure.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was like he rolled in one day and it was like, oh yeah, what are you into? And it was like we're all into the same band. So yeah.
Wow. So what was like the objective? Like, what was the goal? Who were you trying to replicate with that band in particular?
Laurent was writing stuff that didn't sound like anything I was familiar with. So I mean, it was like, here's this guy, and like he's got a very interesting come up because he's from a French family, but his father was like an international business person. So he spent time growing up mainly in Korea and going to school at U.S. military bases because those were the better schools in the area. So he speaks English like an American, but then his music taste was really informed by like whatever he could get his hands on over there, which was a lot of like cassette bootlegs. He would read all the metal magazines to try and figure out what tapes to try and order from overseas. And so like, yeah, I mean, like his taste was really very unique and different. And like also a lot of the stuff he was into wasn't manifesting in the way he was writing. Because like when he came over, he was really into New York hardcore. So he was like super into like Madball and VOD and Sick of It All and all this stuff that the Chicago hardcore kids were not really like fucking with on that level. So it was like, what the hell is this stuff? I mean, I'm down with all that stuff now. But like at the time, it was like, what the hell who is this guy?
That's awesome. Well, I was listening to that Brooklyn Vegan interview you guys did, and he like mentioned he'd kind of picked Chicago thinking there'd be like, he's like, oh yeah, I heard of Victory Records. And I'm like, the fact that like, I'm coming to Chicago because Victory's here. I mean, I guess for all of the faults of that, at least it brought you guys together.
Let's be fair. Northwestern has a sick journalism school, so
that's fair.
I mean, like the lore of him coming here for Victory Records is great, but it was also a good school.
Yes, for sure.
Not that he went into journalism, but yeah, and it's funny because like there wasn't a very big Chicago hardcore scene. It was like the biggest shows. Like yeah, you'd have like a show like Quicksand or Sick of It All that would be at the Metro and would have several hundred people, but most of the shows at like Fireside most of the shows were at VFW halls in the suburbs and it would be like 40, 50 people. So yeah, it was like, I don't know what he thought he was signing up for, but it was more than he was getting in Korea is the thing. So
that's fair. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm so fascinated by that, like having grown up in the Chicagoland area, but I got into metal first and maybe found hardcore later. So maybe I just wasn't attuned to some of the things, but, hearing maybe even like, from some of the guys in like Weekend Nachos or some of that group and hearing about all the stuff that was going on in the suburbs, it almost felt like they almost outnumbered the stuff that was going on in the city. And it seems kind of,
for
flipped,
sure. It was hard to put on. I think what it was, I wasn't a show promoter, but I imagine it was just hard to find a club in the city that would do shows. It was like there would be a spot for a few months and then like it just wouldn't be happening anymore. But the VFW halls, it was like they're always looking to rent out the hall and make some money. You know what I mean? So it was like Arlington Heights one weekend, Elgin the next weekend, wow. Elmhurst. It was like, yeah, I mean, we'd be driving all over the place. I grew up in Evanston and there was a spot out there too. It was called Shanley Pavilion, but it was not really a pavilion. It was a shack on Northwestern campus. So everybody's called it Shanley Shack. I mean, you could get maybe 100 people in there. It was, yeah. So
before I move on, Tim from Rise Against, was he in that band as well?
Sort of. He and Neil, who went on to be in Lawrence Arms, we tried one rehearsal with, I think it was Neil on drums and Tim on bass. Yeah.
What about Pete Wentz?
I don't think Pete was ever in the band. No.
Okay. I never know what to trust out there.
No, but yeah, those dudes were all part of the squad,
Sure. I feel like maybe a couple of these other projects that you were in maybe overlapped as well, but like Edge-Ucate was a one that like I definitely stumbled on that I was interested in knowing more about. Or should I say, based on I don't know if it was the split, aka fuck everything, fuck the world, and fuck you.
We were just Edge-Ucate.
If anybody wants, they can listen to some of this stuff on DuPage County Hardcore. Is kind of where I was pulling from, but I loved listening to it.
Yeah, I fell in love with their demo, and I might have already been in a band with Simon. I think maybe that was concurrent with Tusk. So I might have already been in a band with Simon who played drums in Edge-Ucate, and the incarnation that came after that, which was Long Live Nothing. But I loved the Edge-Ucate demo, and I don't know how the conversation started, but I just like kind of wormed my way into playing second guitar for them, and I ended up on that split.
Yeah. Were they based? I know. Is it John from like Charles Bronson, and was he out in like Sycamore? Like, how do you meet John?
I just met him through that band, pretty much. I mean, I've been at loads of Charles Bronson shows too, though I was part of like the Race Trader contingent, and there was animosity between Charles Bronson and Race Trader. So like we didn't like know each other until I joined that band, really. For that reason. I mean, like, that's just how hardcore was back then. Maybe it is still like that. Maybe it's all factions. I don't know. But I feel the sense I get is that things are a lot better now than they were in the fucking 90s.
Right.
At least in terms of that stuff. But yeah, we practiced at John's parents' house in Sycamore.
Damn, you were driving all the way out to Sycamore?
Dude, the summers that I was in Edge-Ucate and Long Live Nothing, gas was under $1 a gallon. And I had like a fucking Toyota Corolla manual transmission, so I was barely using any gas anyway.
Wow. I'm sure. Yeah, it looks. I don't know how much different it would look now, but you know, I always get it. He's like the funniest. He might be like the funniest person. I don't know him, but every time I like see a video of like Charles Bronson at like the Fireside Bowl, I think it's like, I don't know if it's like their last show where he's just like,
hey, my mom's up front, so don't mash her, okay? Be careful with my mom. She's old.
His mom was awesome. She was so sweet. Yeah.
So I imagine it was Disgruntled Records. He was just running that out of his house.
Yep. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. And and you mentioned that is like essentially the same lineup that's Long Live Nothing.
Yeah. So basically, I joined an existing band as a second guitar player, and then the first guitar player left. And I don't know if it was like, I don't know if he felt squeezed out or like what the vibe was, but I still talk to him online every so often.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we just started doing Long Live Nothing. I just kept driving to Sycamore every weekend.
I saw you post about it, like it kind of experienced an anniversary, and you know that kind of prompted me to check it out. And
I was just fucking around. I have no idea when that record came out.
That's so funny.
I saw somebody else's like 20th anniversary post about something, and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like the 25th anniversary of the Long Live Nothing record. I just posted that on a lark. I'm glad you checked it out, though.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, the samples are hilarious. There's like maybe Reefer Madness, or like it sounds like some educational films that you guys threw in there.
Yeah, I don't remember where I called all that stuff from. I was digging through those files recently. I was like, what is all this shit? Where did I find this stuff? There's the one where the kid, it's like a hygiene PSA video or something, and the kid is talking to a living cake of soap.
Yes.
And the soap is like, you need to wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. It's like, so good.
My favorite is like on the record itself, there's a picture of you guys, and you're like standing in front of just a ton of oversized guns, like it might as well be like Clint Eastwood revolver just pointed at some mannequin's head. Like, yeah, it looked like a fun summer.
Yeah, well, John's dad has quite the firearm collection, so and it's like a lot of military paraphernalia and stuff like that. So we just did like a West Coast rap photo shoot.
Just another random question here, but I feel like you'd mentioned it. Is Simon responsible for the Pelican name? Is that the friend who?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
You know all the tidbits. Yeah, so it was when Tusk was running concurrent with Pelican we'd go out to the Herweg house. Larry and Brian lived with their parents in Des Plaines, and we would practice in Larry's bedroom. And we would practice with Tusk for an hour and a half, 2 hours, take a half-hour break, and then do Pelican. So like Simon was there like for all of the Pelican stuff getting started, and we were trying to figure out what to call the band. And at one point, he was telling some story. He was working a PETA leaflet table or one of those organizations at like a Pretenders concert, and he was working with alongside a woman, and this guy kept coming to the table to hit on the girl, and like was completely striking out or whatever. And then one of his lines, like to try and to woo her, was I guess he was playing on the animal theme, right? He was like, "Oh, I've got this really cool Pelican shirt," and Simon's telling us this story, and like I don't know, maybe it was me. It's probably my fault because it seems like something stupid that I would do. One of us was like, "Oh, that could work as a band name, Pelican," and then that's
25 years later.
And then years later, people are like, "Tell us about the name." And it's like, oh, God.
Well, thanks, Simon. Yeah, no, that's killer.
Pelicans, they're a majestic beast.
Upon finding that story out, in the years past, when I've seen the name, the first image that comes to my mind is a scene from Scarface, where they're sitting around and his buddy's just going, "Hey, Pelican, Pelican, Pelican," and it's like there's got to be a tie-in with this somewhere.
Nope. But I do remember the first time we played with High on Fire, Matt Pike doing that scene for us.
No! Yes! Oh. Man. God, to be the fly on the wall for that. Geddy Lee rules.
Oh, man.
Bro. God. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Pelican, 25 years later. I mean, we got this fucking amazing record. I believe I've heard that you guys are working on some songs. I mean, you said earlier you're saving one in the back pocket. Are you working on anything for the future? I want people to sit with this record, obviously. Like, it's great. Digest it, but...
Yeah, Laurent and I are 2 songs deep. I know there's a lot more gas in the tank, so yeah, there's way more coming. We kind of had to put pause on it because we got these tour dates coming up starting next week, so we're like, all right, let's just shelve this for now. We'll come back to it in the fall. So yeah, I can't wait to get back in, you know?
Yeah, but the shows as well. You got a U.S. tour coming up, July 17th through the 26th. You're going to be out with Porcelain and a bunch of... I feel like you've essentially kind of carried this out through your career with just like the diversity of some of the shows and lineups, but you're, curating this incredible thing with like, you got like Couch Slut on there and, Glacier. And like, I mean, it's going to be fun. And I'll be at the one on the 26th at Talia Hall with Coalesce. That's going to be killer. Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun.
You're also going to the UK and Europe after that in August.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing. There were kind of like a few festivals that we were offered, and then we plugged in a few dates in between them.
Perfect. Any DJ sets coming up? I feel like I've seen you do a couple around the area.
Yeah, so I DJ at Parachute Hi-Fi, which is like a Korean concept bar on Elston in the Avondale neighborhood, so walking distance from my home, and I'm there like, I don't know, every 2 or 3 months. The next one is August 22nd.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I've not been there. I'm like over there for like Meteor Gym, pretty frequently, but like I haven't experienced it. So what sorts of records are you playing over there?
The night is called Fury Things, and what it started out as was like a curation of early punk and early indie rock stuff, and then I've kind of done different variations on it. So like last time, the connective theme was all 7 inches. I only played 7 inches.
Wow.
I haven't figured out what I'm doing next month yet.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. With that said, though, I'm sure you got a lot of music that you could recommend the listeners. I don't know if we want to go around. We typically end with just, can be heavy, it could be none, it could be whatever. We'd love to hear about it. I don't know who's checking out what. Swindle, why don't you start?
My rec is the Bursting LP. Came out July 11th. It's Chicago ties, folks from Stress Positions, also Tyler from 10 million fucking bands, including Thou. Good shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had a full length. That's awesome. I have like their EP. I have the
Right.
EP that they did a while back, and that's fucking great.
Yeah. Well, as of recording, the LP comes out tomorrow, but by the time this
Dick.
comes out, it will have been out.
Terminator
I got-
timeline. Come on, man.
Yes.
I got the scoop. Knew before anybody else.
I got one. It's not heavy at all, but I've been enjoying it. It helps relax me. And Hayden Pedigo, kind of like this, makes some of the most unique, kind of interesting finger style picked guitar music. It's country. It's ambient. This kind of completes a trilogy, I believe. I'll Be Waving As You Drive Away. It's out now at Mexican Summer Records. I believe he's also going to be on tour. I think he'll be popping through the Chicago area in the fall or winter. But yeah, it's just like, it puts me to sleep in the best way. It just soothes me. I love it. I love it so much.
I've got a loosely heavy one. It involves heavy players. It's the project Arcadea and their new single Fuzzy Planet off of their sophomore release, The Exodus of Gravity. This is a project that features Bron Daler on vocals from Mastodon, and it's very synth driven, really weird. It's got wild artwork to it. This is their sophomore album. I don't remember anything about the prior release, but generally anything Relapse puts out, I'm at least going to listen to once. But this is really wild shit. I really enjoy it. His vocals fit this music, even a little bit more maybe than the Mastodon stuff that I'm a big fan of. But this comes out on August 22nd. But I also want to say, with this past weekend happening, the first 6 Black Sabbath records.
Trevor, what have you been checking out?
I'm going to give a shout to our former guitar player Dallas Thomas's new band, Ready for Death. They just put out their second album, Pay With Your Face. It is just fucking paint peeling thrash hardcore. It is fucking sick. Just beer swilling, heavy good times.
Yeah, there's like a handful of like I don't know if I can name all of them, but I mean it's just various kind of like heavy hitters from all across the Chicagoland area, maybe outside. Like I want to say, is it Annihilus? I forget the name of that project.
That's actually one of the guys from Ready for Death is in that band, Luca.
Right. Yes.
Or that's Luca's project, rather.
Yes. Yeah. No, cool. I was pretty sure. I got one more. Flickering Resonance. It's out now. Don't be a chump. Run for Cover Records. It's great. You're not going to be disappointed. Get a record.
Record of the summer.
Record of the summer. Again.
Record of the summer.
We're calling you out, Lord. This ain't it.
Well, I mean, honestly, what we're doing is we're moving on from Brat Summer, right?
Right. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Charlie XCX had it last year. It looked like maybe it was going to be Lord this year, but then Pelican swooped in.
Pelican.
Right. That's a little bird pun for you.
Trevor, thanks so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Go see Pelican on tour. You could follow us, links below, whatever. But for myself, for Swindle, for Dylan, for Trevor, we'll be back next week with something else, probably. See ya.